Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here, Patrick Reusse with me as usual. Tale of, I guess, more than just two teams, but the first two we're going to talk about, Patrick, couldn't really be going in a much different direction right now than the Vikings and the Twins. Vikings 3-0 after absolutely mauling the favored Houston Texans 34-7 on Sunday. The Twins lose a doubleheader in pretty gross fashion. The Tigers win. So the Twins now a game back with 6 to play in the wild card chase and absolutely gasping for their playoff lives. So we'll start with the Vikings though, right, Patrick?
Oh, heavens, yes. The whole town is euphoric. Forget the Twins. Who cares? The Vikings go out and they're 3-0 and they just drill them at home. And apparently the dome was as loud as this dome was as loud as it's ever been. It was almost as loud as the Metrodome used to be. And they were a bunch of false start penalties and
3 or 4 pre-snap penalties on the same sequence for the Texans.
They just were. I think of as impressive as they've been since day one. They beat the Giants were bad, and but this team they beat bloody 34-7. Was an incredible performance, and Sam Darnold's a revelation and everything else, but it's the defense that has just been phenomenal here. It's amazing that. The way Brian Flores has that defensive crew playing, and I don't know what the reputation of Houston's offensive line is, but it's not as good today as it was yesterday because they just pounded Stroud early, and he never really got his feet under him, and it was quite a performance to say the least. As I said. Now, I've been optimistic about them,
Yes.
okay?
Yes, you have.
But yesterday was the first time I realized this is going to be Minnesota's first Super Bowl champion.
Wow.
I wasn't optimistic enough, obviously.
Yeah, you were right. Your optimism was still pessimistic compared to how good they are.
Compared to how good they are. That's right. I was not over my skis. I said they might win 9 or 10. They might win their first 9 or 10.
Might win 17. Might win 20 getting the playoffs.
Yeah, this was revelation to say the least. But no, it's been something, and I think we've all had a pretty good feeling about O'Connell, but he's obviously got the offense figured out, and the other guy's got the defense figured out, and there's not much else. And I did say, and I really felt this way, that Aaron Jones was one of, I quoted my son, as saying that early when the Vikings got Aaron Jones, he said to me, when the Packers have played good in recent years offensively, it was because Aaron Jones was good. And because they had Aaron Jones, when they didn't have Aaron Jones, they played bad. Now he was banged up with them a lot. But what a bargain for $7 million. Holy cow. And a running back who can do both, who can run and catch the ball. And he's just a plus player. And he looks very healthy right now. And he rounded out the offense completely. And it was just something. And our mutual friend Sharkman from up in Canada also texted me and said this is their best offensive line in 15 years, and he's probably right about that. But I will say their offensive line the last couple of years wasn't as bad as people have always tried to make it, because people always have this impression that if you play a football game and the quarterback gets pressured 12 times, you got a terrible offensive line. But with those tackles, now one thing was what O'Neal missed half the season last year, so that made a difference. But they do have the guards are both playing good, and Bradbury's okay if he doesn't run into some 360 pounders. So, and the tackles are great. So, it is. It's a hell of an offensive line, and we thought they'd miss T.J. Hockenson. They might not miss him because the other guys block better than he does. So, in addition to catching the ball so far, so it's just been a amazingly well-rounded team for through 3 games.
I'm glad you brought up Jones and the offensive line. Jones is just so good, man. You didn't appreciate him as much until you watch him down after down. Even the runs where not much is there, getting three instead of getting one, or just putting them in better situations. He's just and obviously he's still explosive enough that he almost got a long touchdown yesterday. Got run down at the angle at the one, but catches the ball. He's been terrific. He can block pretty well. Still got it. And the offensive line, like you said, Sharkman said that. I said that with Kramer last week on a show. I said, yeah, best offensive line since 2009. And again, they haven't had great offensive lines, right? This is faint praise. They've had some struggles over the years. I think you're right. They've been better the last couple of years because of the tackles. I think Brandell is making a difference this year somehow. He's a bigger guard, gives them some more in the run game, and has held up enough in the pass game to be functional. But yeah, it's weird. I want to ask O'Connell this week because I feel like I almost asked him last week, but I feel like we're at the point now where we got to say everybody was down on this team. What were we missing? How did we miss so badly on this team? Was it just everything seems better now because they're healthy, or what did we miss about these guys?
Well, how about a little love for Ed Ingram too? He's not been that bad this year either, right? So after there was a reason they put up with him for 3 years there that they kept playing him, and it wasn't just desperation. I don't think so. Yeah, but that's been good. But Aaron Jones is, there's really nothing better than to have a talented, determined athlete who is out for revenge. And
Yes,
that is what he is. And next week in Green Bay, man, he will be ready to play. That's for sure. And to prove them wrong, because they decided they'd rather have Jacobs than him.
Yes.
And
speaking of 2009,
yeah. So anyway, it's you got somebody out for revenge. That's gonna be that as good an angle as that's gonna be for us going for locally here, for him going there. It's a bigger angle in Green Bay, him coming back, because they wouldn't pay him. And not only wouldn't they pay him, they wouldn't. He ended up taking a bargain here, basically. I mean, he had other options, probably for a little more money. I think he came here because he wanted to play these guys twice a year and show them they were wrong, which is fantastic. So anyway, yeah, I mean, it's something. It was even us optimists didn't see this coming. That's for sure. That you just beat Houston as bad as you want to, and honest to God, I didn't look at the point spreads. I didn't know that Houston was actually the favorite.
Yes.
You pointed out to me, and so did other people. But a 2-point favorite, which means, they were a 5-point favorite. And, the Vikings just beat them bloody. It was no contest from the start. So,
yeah, it's amazing. I think Flores, I mean, the coaches get a lot of credit. It's a well-coached team. You watch them play. They're well coached. They do what they're supposed to do. They're executing. They're also talented players. I mean, it's maybe not a secret formula, but I do think that Flores should get a ton of this for just he knows who works in his system now. He's run this system enough now that he knows what he wants in a player. They identified that. They went out and got that this offseason. All these kind of versatile linebackers, Van Ginkel, Cashman. They go get Grenard, who was fantastic yesterday. 3 sacks. Speaking of trying to stick it to your former team, Jonathan Grenard gets 3 sacks against his old team. He looked extra motivated yesterday. So it seems like they have the right pieces right now. Now, can they stay healthy? Can they kind of withstand stuff as that will naturally come up as the season goes on? But the offense is doing this without Hawkinson and Addison, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, they don't have do they have any, I mean, they don't have Hawkinson and Addison, who's going to be hurt his whole career. You can write that down. But, that's a given that he's going to, he's going to be Percy Harvin. Okay. Not quite as smart as Percy Harvin, which is really saying something. But, but they don't really. They're healthy as can be right
Yep.
now. Overall,
Pace
what's it say?
Pace missed the game yesterday, and Turner missed the game on defense.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
But
but
that's
they're not banged up in any way. When
no,
you
which is
compared to other teams. So
which is the thing they're going to have to watch for this year, because I do think that their depth, aside from a couple spots, is a little thin. So we got to temper that as the year goes on. But they're a much better team than I thought they were. They're even a better team than you thought they were, and you were the
well,
optimist.
yeah. So what's our view of Darnold? Is that boy? He's speaking about a guy who's putting himself in position for a payday after this. Wow, it's he can hit. He can, if he plays like this, hits the free agent market, or if they bring him back, he he goes from 10 to 30, doesn't he?
Yes, he gets the Baker Mayfield contract next year if he
Yeah.
keeps playing like this. So he's been great. I think the thing that I didn't understand about him, well, two things. I underrated his kind of mobility, because he moves
Yeah.
around pretty well. He can
He's an
run, but he
athlete.
can also he has pretty good pocket feel. More than I'm used to Cousins not feeling the guy about to hit his arm, or not feeling the guy
Yeah.
about to get him from behind, and Darnold seems to have some feel. He also has a great arm, man.
Yeah.
Just like the arm talent is such an overrated phrase, but he can sling the ball, and he's got a stronger arm than a lot of people.
And guess what? When you're the third overall pick, you got to have some talent, right?
He's
Wasn't he
talented.
third? Was he third?
Yeah, he was third. He was third overall by the Jets in 2018.
And he got in there and had to play, and he had to play. And if they bring you into New York and you struggle, and you get the New York Post knowing that they can sell papers by saying how bad you are, it's not going to be easy, that's for sure. So, how many has he only been two spots before here then?
No, three: Jets, Carolina,
Carolina. Yeah.
and he was with the 49ers last year.
Speaking of Carolina, they beat somebody yesterday. Did they
Yes,
win?
they finally benched Young and played Andy Dalton. Dalton threw for like 320 and 3 touchdowns, which shows you how bad
Really?
Bryce Young is right now.
And
They beat the
who did
Raiders.
they beat
They
the
beat
Raiders,
Raiders, who are bad. They're bad. So
How'd that start? How'd that get? Well, the Raiders are, they're on their honeymoon in Vegas, I suppose. But yeah,
yeah,
I can't. Sometimes I look at the board and they're showing me helmets. I don't want helmets. I don't know who that is. A Viking. Okay, I can tell that's a Viking,
right,
but
right.
stop showing me helmets. But I kept saying, wait a minute. I think that's Carolina winning the game here.
They
So
did. Yeah, poor Bryce Young. That's a tough one. Yeah, I saw he spent the whole week on the scout team.
oh,
That's
really?
not,
So they not only demoted him, they demoted him to third team.
I guess I read the saddest paragraph in the ESPN.com story. It was like, gave him some great looks emulating Gardner Minshew. I'm like, wow, that's really what you
Don't
want out of your. It's really what you want out of your
don't
first round pick. Number one
some
overall.
when you're picking guys off great teams, great college teams, be a little cautious as to
Mhm.
is he really that good, or is he just
Right.
playing with guys that are that good? So
Yeah,
anyway,
maybe that's a little bit of the Lewis Scene factor, maybe there
yeah,
with
yes,
that
yes,
Georgia
right,
defense.
yeah, that's true. So anyway, yeah, it's something, and they. I will say Green Bay's shockingly good, I guess, because to go out and win two games without your quarterback is pretty good, and Detroit's kind of tough and mean, so the division's pretty good. You got,
Yeah. Yep.
you're looking right now. You got three playoff teams, and you got the Bears who stink, but yeah, but the Vikings are wow, what a revelation they are. It's
Yeah.
just it's just amazing, and. It's really a good time for our Twins to the Vikings playing this good, because now people are spending 80% of the time talking about how great the Vikings are instead of
Yes.
this train wreck that's mercifully gonna, I hate to point this out. I'm switching to the Twins here. Are we
Yes,
ready?
I
Are we
noticed that.
ready?
Yes.
Uh, the one thing you got going for you is that the Tigers have to finish at home against the White Sox this weekend. So
Saw that.
that'll
Yeah.
so you don't have. You know what? Here they are. I mean, Okay, I was saying, when I'm thinking about the Vikings and Darnold's been so good and the offense has been so good, you can't say that we aren't giving enough attention to the defense, but the defense has been more phenomenal
Yes.
than the offense.
Yes.
And with the Twins, we are so mad about the pitching and
I was
not
just
doing
like,
anything to
yes.
help the pitching.
Yes.
The fact you don't score any runs has something to do with going 11-22. You can't hit. That's a big
I,
problem, you
I,
know?
I was going to bring that up today. I was like, the offense has been as much of a problem, if not more, lately. I mean, I know
Yes.
they gave up eight,
We
9 runs
just,
in the doubleheader, but man, they can't score more than 2 or 3 runs a game. Can't hit a
no,
homer.
the other day they had, 12 hits in one run or so. I mean, they got
Yes, it's
base
all
runners all over the place. And, I mean, here's the deal, though. Boston was playing terrible. They're calling
terrible.
them the Dead Sox. That's what
Yes.
the headlines, the Dead Sox. Everybody hates them, and they're all mad at the ownership. They're mad at, everybody there. They're mad at the triple talking Craig Breslow. You think our guys can give you some lingo. Listen to this. He went to the Ivy League or something,
Yes.
so he's going to tell you he's going to say gobbledygook. But people hated him. They weren't hitting for weeks when you got there. And Pablo goes out in the biggest game of the year and gives up, 7, right? Gives up
Yeah.
7,
7.
gives up
Yeah.
3 right away, and gives up 7 runs. And people are saying, I was saying yesterday, it's all ownership. They got to sell, And but making it sound like every game that's lost is the responsibility of the Pohlads. Well, you gave Pablo, you saw him pitch 3 times and gave him 72 million, right?
Yeah.
For 3
Yeah.
years, you
4. I think it
immediately
was
paid
4.
him.
Yeah.
You immediately paid him, right? Boom.
Yes.
You
Yep.
found him in the hall at Yankee Stadium and signed him. And he's been pitching great. But
Yes. Yes.
biggest start of the year, he goes out and gives up 3 right away, gives up 4 more. That's not the Pohlads' fault.
No, that one ain't the
we
Bullets' fault.
got we got to
No,
blame some of this on the players, right? We got to blame some of this on the players.
that isn't
And
Schnauker's fault.
AC out there in the flat. There's a ball thrown in low. That isn't Snooker's fault.
no, that ain't Schnauker's fault. That's what we need. That's what we need. We need
Need a rant.
We need Baldelli to turn into Bernsey. That's what we need. How about that? That might work. So yeah, they're dead. They're dead in the water. They got Miami's no good, but Miami's got better. Miami's no deader than the Red Sox were, when they're coming to town here. Plus, they got a young team. And then you end with Baltimore, which is, probably they're pretty well locked into the number 1 wild card, right? I mean, they can't move.
Yeah,
They can't move out of the number 1 wild card. I don't think so.
they might have like a mathematical chance of. I don't know. It
By
kind of
the
depends
way,
on where the division race is at that point and where they might not be clear enough of Kansas City yet. But it's probably going to be pretty settled by then. Yeah.
and they haven't played good for a month at
No.
least,
No.
5-6 weeks. They're not nearly playing up to their expectations. But you got to go 6-0 unless Kansas City keeps losing. I mean, but
Right.
you got to anything less than 5-1, you're not making the playoffs. So they this week, and I don't know how they beat anybody. They
look terrible right now.
I said the other day, their fielding's no good either. When Correa's not playing, they got 3 flaws: hitting, pitching, and fielding. Which maybe analytically that doesn't mean much, but to me, they're pretty vital categories. As a lifelong, and plus their base. We got Crazy Tommy at third, so their base running isn't that good either. So
what do they?
Anyway.
What would you say you do well around here?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean,
hygiene. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe the hygiene is good. I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know. Did Carlos play yesterday? Did he play? I didn't look at the
did
box
not
score.
see.
if you play a doubleheader and that's deciding the season, and I don't know what's. I mean, not only is it a disaster for now, but you
Yes.
probably got, when you're looking at long term with Buxton, is we know that we've probably seen for 90 games the best we're ever going to see out of him, and it's going to be worse. And if Correa's going to get hurt on that contract, if that's the ankle that's bothering him and not plantar
Yeah.
fasciitis,
Yeah.
then what? Then what? Then
Yeah.
you know what I'm thinking? Remember 2011? You went into that year and
Yeah.
everybody came up to me and said, "Can we beat the Yankees this year?" And I said, "Nah, I think we should maybe worry about the big picture." And they finished 19-50 and went into
Yes.
what was basically a 7-year slump.
Yeah.
They Detroit's on the come. Kansas City's coming getting better. Cleveland somehow figured it out this year. They could be headed for disaster here. People are mad at them. They're trying to renew tickets. People are mad at them. They got the tremendous competition from various outlets in town. They got to sit around and look at themselves and say, we got to do something. We can't right size our budget again because this business model could turn into a disaster. Although I do love the one other thing, Mike. I do love the fact that the pull ads got to sell. Okay, if the pull ads sell, it's 1.2 billion minimum, right?
Yeah.
With the salaries now. So somebody's going to come into this mediocre baseball market with a stadium that's got weather issues in the spring and the fall, and with a fan base that's not really. It's been a long time since we've been a great baseball fan base. We're not a great baseball fan base. Rural Minnesota doesn't exist like it used to, and people don't flock to the ballpark in August and stuff. I think somebody's going to come in without a decent TV deal and pay 1.2 billion, and all of a sudden say we're going to spend 180 million on payroll and make this thing great. You know what?
No.
Maybe the best thing that can happen is that Glenn Taylor keeps the Timberwolves, and that those guys and Bloomberg decide to buy the Twins.
Yeah.
And, because Bloomberg can write out a check for 1.2 billion, and then you can do something. But what I'm saying is, this idea that if we get rid of the poll ads, we're going to have a free spending, big
troubles are over
baseball team. Be careful what you ask for, as I always say. So anyway.
Yes. No, you're right. I do feel there could be a slide coming on. I do feel like ownership set a tone, certainly this year in February, when they said, no, we're not going to spend any more money. We're good. We don't need any more good players. I cannot for the life of me figure out why they didn't do more at the trade deadline this year. That
was a disaster. Yeah. Well, listen, when they got Richards, I had no idea. He was terrible. That's why we were able to get him. The fact, but you're trying to, he hadn't been pitching good, but you thought, well, maybe there's some, maybe because last year he was good. But then you go out and you get one guy that's terrible. That's not exactly servicing a team that's
not helpful.
In the wild card by about 5 games at that point, and they were 11 ahead of Detroit, but they're 11-22.
Yes.
And they haven't done anything good in those 33 games. They can't field, they can't pitch, they can't hit. They really can't hit. Their hitting is worse than their pitching.
And did they overthink this Cole Irvin character? The guy they picked up on waivers from Baltimore. He gave up the big hits yesterday.
That changeup he threw that guy. Oh my God.
Oh man.
Looked like this first round of the state amateur baseball tournament. It was just some guy throwing a big hanging change right in the middle of the plate to some guy who's hit 3 home runs this year or something.
I don't know.
It's funny how smart the Fenway crowd is, though. As soon as that guy hit it, they've been in that park enough. I wasn't sure. I knew he hit it good, but that crowd was, which was dead ass until then.
It was 2-0 at that point. They were up 2-0.
Yeah, it was dead at that time. But as soon as that ball was struck, they knew it was a home run. But yeah, everything they've touched has just turned to crap.
Yeah. It's the reverse Midas touch. It's been gross. And I'm not optimistic. Like you said, the Detroit gets to end with 3 against the White Sox. If the Twins can't make up if the Twins can't make up 2 games in the next 3, they've got no chance, because if Detroit goes into that, basically, if Chicago wasn't motivated for the first 159 games of the season to not embarrass themselves as an all-time failure, they certainly won't be in the final 3 when they can just get to the end. So yeah, it's not great. It's not great at all.
What are they? I don't even know who Detroit starts the week with. I didn't look.
They have Tampa Bay.
Tampa's quit too. I mean, Tampa will be looking at next year's club. So
Tampa will give them they'll give them an honest series. But
is it in Detroit too?
Yes, so Detroit finishes with 6 at home, just like the Twins
do. In Detroit. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's up to Kansas City to whatever happened to them. I don't know what they lost 7 straight or something, but they stopped hitting completely. And they had some pitchers hit the wall too, but this is where's you think you're going to you got to have a 5-1 week at the worst, and they just they're terrible. They're terrible right now. So I just you're going to have 8,000 people at each game too. It's not like
probably some giveaways in there, so they probably get something in there. But nice nights. But
I was saying, Fan Appreciation Day, the Poleads are going to give you a quarter off your $14 beers. I don't know what the thing is, but boy, are they getting killed! And yesterday I pointed out, I said on Twitter everybody said heads all on. Even Aaron Rupar was a buddy of mine. I like him, but I ripped him but I pointed out that Pablo, the fact that everything is on them. Well, yesterday game 1 wasn't on them; it was on Pablo, and people were saying one starter shouldn't have that much responsibility. Oh, really? That's not the way it's ever worked in baseball previously.
That's true,
you morons. But anyway, it's just feeding on itself, and you got prominent radio guys who are having great fun with the Twins being rotten, and that feeding this whole Poleads, and as I say, okay, sell them. $1.2 billion gets who you got out there in Minnesota is going to pay $1.2 billion, and then also say let's have a huge payroll. So
I don't know.
I don't think he exists. I'm not a big defender. Let's face it. Carl Polad's the only 2-time ever winner of the Turkeys of the Year. I was
right.
I made him Turkey of the Year the year they won the World Series in '87 because he was such an awful public speaker. But
that's hard to do.
And he didn't give his bank employees the day off for the parade, and everybody else in town did. But he, Scrooge, he made he made him work. But the idea that somebody's there's a white knight out there which wants to charge into this mediocre baseball market and break the bank. He ain't out there, folks. I don't think.
No. We should get to the Gophers and Lynx really quick. Gophers up 14-7 at halftime. That one took a turn, 31-14. They can't stop the run, Patrick.
You know what? Which really was amazing considering, and by the way, we kind of sugarcoated that North Carolina loss in our follows. Did you see what happened to them? They gave up 70
to James Madison.
You got 17. They gave up 70
to James Madison.
let's have a little appreciation for that.
Yes.
70 to
I,
50.
I did say that I said that on Twitter the other day. I think PJ's declaration that the first one to 20 was going to win in that game might have been a little bit short-sighted.
Yes, but here's of all the things that drive me crazy about this guy, here's the one that drives me the craziest. He gets to the fourth quarter. It looks like they're going to get beat in these games, and I'm not talking about just yesterday. I mean, just Saturday. And they start sitting on the margin of defeat. They start. He does not want to get embarrassed.
Nope.
He does not want to get embarrassed.
Nope.
He doesn't want to lose 48 to 17. So he settles for a nice, solid 17-point ass kicking or something like that. So I mean, he's done that now 4 or 5 times that he sits on defeat and lets the clock run, and that is the phoniest quality I've ever seen in a coach. That he's worried about, what they're not in the. They started killing him on the telecast basically as much as they will about not being in any hurry when they got in the huddle early in the fourth quarter. They're taking their normal time in the huddle. They finally at 10 minutes they went to no huddle, but even then they weren't going quick. But I don't know what it is in him. What streak is that in a guy that his ego is so large that he doesn't want people 5 years from now looking the scores and see that he got beat 48 to 17 by Iowa. It drives me crazy.
They did that in North Carolina last year too. When I was at that game, they didn't want to lose by more. It's bizarre. I don't know what it is. You're losing already. What does it matter if you lose 34-17 or whatever it is? I don't understand why he does that. But it is absolutely maddening. They are, they're not going to be good this year. We know that. We probably knew that going into the years.
The schedule is still favorable, The schedule isn't that rugged, to say the least, but that doesn't mean they can beat anybody. But it was a stunning performance though in the second half, didn't you think? I mean, I couldn't imagine Iowa coming out and just kicking the living hell out of them.
Yeah, the schedule is favorable, but yeah, they're not any good, and they're just, I don't know, but whatever the benefit they got from however many years of the Big Ten West now just looks worse because they don't have that anymore, and they're going to be a 4-8 team this year. I just don't think they're very good. The Lynx, though, Patrick, we got to finish there. The Lynx are really good. They win again yesterday in the playoffs, and 102 points is a lot of scoring.
Yeah, they are good offensively. They got pushed by Phoenix more than the other 3 good teams, but it looks pretty obvious that it's going to be Vegas, Connecticut, the Lynx, and New York in the second round. Probably all 4 2-0s. Caitlin didn't exactly light it up with the fever, so yesterday they stunk. So that could be quick. I'm sure the WNBA is sending in 3 refs to help out Indiana to get another game out of her.
Maybe.
But anyway, the Lynx they're good. They're they're good. They're gonna. This is probably as good an effort as they're gonna get from Phoenix too. So I would guess they'll end it and then get on to the next round. Who do they get next then?
They reseed. So assuming it goes according to seed, it would be Connecticut. It was 2
I'd rather
3.
play Connecticut than Vegas.
I would too. Connecticut's a good matchup for them. Yeah.
Vegas is starting to play good again. So after being not what they expected. So anyway, but it'll be the Final Four will be really 4 good teams. It'll be fun. So
yes, you better take care of your business because that playoff format is weird. You get the first 2 at home, and then the third one is on the road if you lose. So you got to win those first 2.
Cheryl, coach of the year, and I can't argue with it. I think that they probably were the surprise team of the year. And when they did their business was with the free agents they signed. Certainly wasn't with the drafting they did, but it was the free agents they signed, and that they did worked out great. And Collier just became better than she'd ever been.
She's terrific.
So That makes a difference too. So anyway,
She was the clear number 2 in the MVP voting behind Asia Wilson. That's a pretty good place to be.
Who got every vote?
Yes, so, it's hard to win if someone else is that good, but she's right there too.
The other guy gets them all.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, the Twins are coming to town for a merciful ending to an awful season. And,
early crowd is going to be, I would think, not a happy final home week crowd.
Oh, it will not be good. They should have half price beer for the whole homestand or something. They got to do something.
Still be $9. All right.
Yeah. All righty. See you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye-bye.